Everything that matters is inside. Don't open it until the time is right.
Understood. I won't let you down.
The teacup shattered on the marble floor, its contents pooling like dark blood. Charlotte's eyes went wide as her throat closed, her body convulsing. She'd only taken one sip, meant for her father, not her. As she collapsed, Chief Williams sat frozen in his wheelchair, watching his daughter die before him, powerless to save her. Somewhere across the ocean, Mia clutched her newborn son, unaware that the battle she thought she'd escaped was about to follow her home. This is a story of obsession, betrayal, and the deadly price of inheritance. Watch the full video so that you can enjoy and understand this story. Very powerful. Share it to 10,000 people if you want to know what happens next. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share this story with someone who loves intense drama. Comment below, Team Mia or Team Deborah. Another chapter drops soon, and trust me, the revenge is just beginning. The moment Deborah discovered that Mia had fled to another country, rage consumed her like wildfire. This wasn't just anger, it was obsession. A bitter, all-consuming need to find the young maid and destroy the life she dared to claim. Deborah made dangerous calls to men who didn't ask questions, men who only cared about money and completing their assignments. Within 48 hours, she dispatched a team to Canada, believing that's where Chief Williams had hidden Mia. "Find her," Deborah commanded over the phone, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Search every city, every hospital, every corner. Just find that girl." The hired men searched for weeks, then months. They combed through Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. They checked immigration records, hospital registries, and rental agreements. They bribed officials, questioned locals, and followed dead-end leads that went nowhere. But Mia had vanished like smoke. Chief Williams had been too careful. He hadn't sent her to Canada at all. That was merely a lie he'd strategically allowed Deborah to overhear. Only he and his most trusted associates knew Mia's true destination, and they weren't talking. After 3 months of wasted money and empty results, Deborah finally abandoned the active search. But she didn't give up the war. If she couldn't find Mia, she would make Chief Williams suffer every single day until he revealed where the girl was hiding. Deborah became a shadow in the mansion. Everywhere Chief Williams turned, she was there, watching, listening, analyzing every word he said, every phone call he made, every moment he thought he was alone. She monitored his conversations with the household staff, checked his phone whenever he fell asleep, even went through his trash looking for clues. For 9 long months, Chief Williams left no traces. He was a businessman who had survived betrayal, ruthless competitors, and enemies far more dangerous than his own wife. He knew how to keep secrets. He knew how to play the long game, and he understood that one mistake could cost Mia and his unborn son everything. So he stayed silent. Even when the pain in his body grew worse, even when he could barely lift his head from the pillow, even when death started knocking louder on his door, he held firm. Meanwhile, someone else in the household was falling apart. Sophia, the youngest daughter, the forgotten one, the girl everyone pitied but nobody truly cared for, was deteriorating rapidly. When Mia left, Sophia's world collapsed. Mia had been the only person in that mansion who treated her like a human being, the only one who sat with her during her worst days, who cleaned her up when she vomited, who whispered kind words when the cancer made her scream in pain. The other staff members did their jobs, yes, but with cold hands and distant eyes. They were just following orders. Mia had actually cared. And now she was gone. Sophia's condition worsened dramatically. The cancer spread faster. The treatments stopped working. Her body grew weaker by the day. She stopped eating, stopped talking, just lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for death. Chief Williams had known this was coming. He'd seen it months ago when the doctors gave Sophia only a year to live. But knowing it didn't make it any easier. Watching his youngest daughter waste away, knowing he couldn't save her, knowing that if Mia had stayed, Sophia might have had a few more months of comfort, it tore him apart inside. 3 weeks before Mia gave birth, Sophia died. It happened quietly. No dramatic final words, no tearful goodbyes, just a soft exhale in the middle of the night, And then nothing. One of the staff members found her the next morning, already cold. Chief Williams wept. Not loudly, not in front of anyone, but alone in his room. He let the tears fall for his daughter, for the life she never got to live, for all the ways he had failed her. He wanted to call Mia, wanted to tell her what had happened, but he couldn't risk it. Any contact could lead Deborah straight to her. So he swallowed his grief and stayed silent. Deborah stood at Sophia's funeral wearing black, her face calm and composed, playing the role of the heartbroken mother to perfection. But inside, she felt nothing. Sophia had always been a burden to her, a reminder of weakness, a child who couldn't contribute to the family's image or wealth. And now she was gone. At least we don't have to waste money on treatments anymore, Deborah muttered to Amelia later that evening, her voice flat and businesslike. Amelia nodded silently. She didn't care either. None of them did. Olivia, Emma, and Charlotte all showed up to the funeral, said the right words, posted the right pictures on social media, and then went back to their lives like nothing had happened. Because to them, Sophia's death wasn't the tragedy. The real problem was still out there, growing bigger every day inside Mia's belly. When Olivia told Kenneth about Sophia's death, he barely acknowledged it. All he cared about was the money. So what now? Kenneth asked over the phone, his voice impatient. When is the old man going to die? We've been waiting forever. I don't know, Olivia snapped. He's still alive, still breathing, still protecting that witch. Then maybe it's time you stop waiting, Kenneth said slowly, his tone dark and deliberate. Maybe it's time you do something about it. Olivia froze. What are you saying? I'm saying that if your father dies before he changes his will, everything goes to you and your sisters, right? But if he lives long enough for Mia to come back with that baby, you lose everything. So the question is, what are you willing to do to protect your future? Olivia felt her heart pound. She knew exactly what Kenneth was suggesting. And part of her, the part that was tired of waiting, tired of watching her father protect a maid over his own daughters, actually considered it. I'll think about it, she whispered before hanging up. Meanwhile, Emma was having the time of her life. While her sister lay dead and her father suffered in silence, Emma saw nothing but opportunity. The Williams family drama was trending everywhere. Blogs, podcasts, social media platforms. Everyone wanted to know what was happening behind those mansion gates. And Emma was more than happy to tell them her version. She started doing interviews, first with small bloggers, then bigger media outlets, then national television. She sat there in designer clothes, tears streaming down her face, and painted Mia as a demon sent to destroy their family. She came into our home as a maid, Emma said on camera, her voice trembling for effect. We trusted her. We treated her like family. And then she seduced my father, a dying man. She got pregnant on purpose, hoping to steal everything we've worked for. It's evil. It has to be. The viewers ate it up. The comment sections exploded with support for Emma, with people calling Mia every horrible name imaginable. Emma's follower count skyrocketed. Brands started reaching out for sponsorships. She was turning her family's pain into profit, and she didn't feel an ounce of shame. Amelia and Deborah, on the other hand, had only one focus: finding Mia. They weren't interested in interviews or social media drama. They wanted results. They spent hours locked in Deborah's room, going over every detail, every clue, every possible lead. They checked flight records, called contacts in immigration offices, even hired private investigators. But it was like chasing a ghost. Mia had disappeared completely. We can't let that child come back to this country, Deborah said to Amelia one night, her eyes burning with determination. If that baby steps foot here, we lose everything. Do you understand me? Everything. Amelia nodded, her jaw tight. Then we make sure he never comes back. But while Deborah and Amelia plotted in the shadows, Charlotte had her own way of punishing Chief Williams. Charlotte was different from her sisters. She didn't scheme or hire men or manipulate the media. Charlotte's weapon was her mouth, and she used it like a knife. Every single day, she went to her father's room, not to check on him, not to comfort him, but to remind him of his mistakes. "You've destroyed this family," she would say, standing at the foot of his bed with her arms crossed. "Everything we built, everything our family worked for, you threw it all away for a maid. Do you know how stupid that sounds?" Chief Williams would just stare at her, too tired to argue, too broken to fight back. "You're dying," Charlotte continued, her voice sharp and merciless. "And when you're gone, that girl and her child will have nothing, because we'll make sure of it." 9 months passed like a slow, painful dream. Then one quiet morning in a hospital far from the country, Mia gave birth to a baby boy. The delivery was smooth. The baby came out crying, his lungs strong, his skin perfect. When the nurse placed him in Mia's arms, she looked down at his tiny face and felt something break open inside her chest. Relief, joy, fear, all of it rushing through her at once. "He's beautiful," the nurse said with a warm smile. Mia couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears streaming down her face as she held her son close. This child, this precious innocent child, was the reason she had run, the reason she had endured 9 months of loneliness and fear, the reason she was still alive. But she couldn't tell Chief Williams directly. That was too dangerous. Deborah was watching everything. One wrong move, one traced call, and it would all be over. So Mia did what they had agreed upon. She went to the guard Chief Williams had hired to protect her, a quiet, reliable man who never asked questions and never made mistakes. She handed him a folded piece of paper with just 4 words written on it. "It is a boy." The guard nodded, tucked the paper into his pocket, and left. That night, at exactly 2 o'clock in the morning, when the mansion back home was silent and dark, the guard sent a text message to Chief Williams. Just 3 words. The boy arrived. Chief Williams was awake when the message came through. He hadn't been sleeping well for weeks. The pain in his body was getting worse, and every night felt like it could be his last. But when he saw those words on his phone screen, something inside him sparked back to life. He smiled, a real, genuine smile, the kind he hadn't worn in years. His son was here. His legacy was alive. He texted back immediately. "Tell her to name him Samuel Williams Jr. Tell her I'm proud." That night, Chief Williams slept better than he had in months. For the first time in a long time, he felt like maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. But while Chief Williams rested, Mia was restless. She hadn't spoken to her mother in 9 months. 9 long, agonizing months of silence. She knew her family must have been worried sick. They probably thought she was dead. Or worse, they might have believed whatever lies Deborah had told them. Mia needed to hear her mother's voice. She needed to tell her that she was alive, that she had a grandson, that everything was going to be fine. So she went to the guard and begged him. "Please," she said, her voice breaking. "Just 5 minutes. I need to speak to my mother, just to let her know I'm okay." The guard hesitated. He had strict orders. No contact, no calls, no risks. But when he looked at Mia's face, at the desperation in her eyes, he couldn't say no. 5 minutes, he said firmly. Not a second more. Mia nodded quickly, her heart pounding with relief. What she didn't know was that Deborah and Amelia had already visited her mother's house weeks ago. They had shown up unannounced, wearing expensive clothes and fake concern on their faces. "We're looking for Mia," Deborah had said, sitting in the small, cramped room where Mia's family lived. "She stole from us a lot of money, jewelry, documents. She's wanted, not just by us, but internationally." Mia's mother had stared at them in shock, her hands trembling. "My daughter would never." "She did," Amelia interrupted sharply. "But we can help her. If she calls you, if she contacts you in any way, you need to tell us immediately. We have lawyers. We can get her out of this mess before it gets worse. But you have to cooperate." Mia's mother didn't believe them, not fully. But she was scared. Scared for her daughter. Scared of these powerful, wealthy people sitting in her tiny home making threats disguised as offers. So when the phone rang that day and she heard Mia's voice on the other end, she didn't know what to do. "Mama, it's me," Mia said, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm okay. I'm safe. I had a baby, a boy. You're a grandmother now." Mia's mother wanted to cry, wanted to scream with joy, but fear gripped her throat. "Where are you?" she asked urgently. "Where have you been? These people came here. They said terrible things. Don't listen to them, Mama. They're lying. I can't tell you where I am, but I'm safe. The baby is safe. I just wanted you to know." "But where are you?" Mia's mother pressed, her voice rising. "Just tell me the name of the place. I need to know you're okay." Mia hesitated. But it was her mother, her own mother. How could she not trust her? "I'm in a hospital," Mia said quietly. "Trinity Health. That's all I can say." "Trinity Health," her mother repeated, committing it to memory. Okay, my daughter. Stay safe. I love you. I love you too, Mama." The call ended. 5 minutes. That was all it took. And it was the first mistake. Mia's mother sat there for a long time, staring at the phone in her hand. She was torn. Part of her wanted to keep the secret, to protect her daughter. But another part of her, the part that was scared and confused and manipulated by Deborah's lies, thought maybe, just maybe, telling them would help. So she called Deborah. "She contacted me," Mia's mother said nervously. "She said she's in a hospital. Trinity Health. She had a baby." On the other end of the line, Deborah's eyes lit up like a predator spotting prey. "Thank you," Deborah said smoothly. "You did the right thing. We'll bring her home safely. I promise." The moment she hung up, Deborah turned to Amelia with a wicked grin. "We have her." Within hours, Deborah had mobilized her network again. This time she wasn't searching blindly. She had a name, Trinity Health. There were dozens of hospitals with that name across Canada and the United States, but it didn't matter. She would check every single one. She sent people to scan hospital records, bribe security guards, question staff. It was only a matter of time now. Meanwhile, back home, Emma was becoming a celebrity. The Williams family drama was the hottest story in the country. Every blog, every podcast, every gossip page was talking about it. And Emma was at the center of it all, milking every ounce of attention. Her social media followers had tripled. Brands were begging to work with her. She was getting invited to events, parties, television shows. People stopped her on the street to take pictures. She was famous, and she loved every second of it. While Emma thrived in the spotlight, Olivia was drowning in darkness. Kenneth's words kept replaying in her mind like a broken record. "Maybe it's time you do something about it." She knew what he meant. And the more she thought about it, the more sense it made. Why should she wait for her father to die naturally when he was clearly planning to give everything to Mia's son? Why should she lose her inheritance because of some maid? At first, the thought made her sick. Taking her own father's life. That was too far. That was evil. But then she remembered Kenneth's voice. She remembered the money, the life they could have together once her father was gone. She remembered how Chief Williams had chosen Mia over his own daughters. And slowly, the guilt faded, replaced by cold, hard determination. One morning, Olivia woke up early, before anyone else in the house. She went to the kitchen, made a pot of tea, and carefully, quietly, poured a small vial of poison into one of the cups. Her hands were steady. Her heart was calm. She had made her decision. She handed the poisoned tea to the household staff member who usually served Chief Williams in the morning. "Take this to my father," Olivia said casually. "Make sure he drinks all of it." The staff member nodded and took the tray, completely unaware of what she was carrying. But Charlotte saw her. Charlotte, who spent every day tormenting her father, who saw every opportunity to twist the knife a little deeper. She spotted the staff member walking toward Chief Williams' room with the tea, and an idea formed in her mind. "Let me take that," Charlotte said, snatching the tray from the woman's hands. "I want to talk to him anyway." The staff member shrugged and walked away. Charlotte marched toward her father's room, a cruel smile on her face. She was planning her next insult, her next round of verbal torture. But as she walked, she felt thirsty. The tea smelled good, rich and sweet. She lifted the cup to her lips and took a sip. Just one small sip. And then she pushed the door open, ready to call her father a fool, ready to tell him once again how much he had ruined their lives. But the words never came. Her throat closed. Her chest tightened. The cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor, tea spilling everywhere. Charlotte's eyes went wide with shock and pain. She tried to speak, tried to scream, but nothing came out. Charlotte collapsed right there in front of Chief Williams. Her body hit the floor with a sickening thud. Chief Williams stared in horror, unable to move, unable to process what he was seeing. His daughter, his Charlotte, lying motionless on the ground, her eyes frozen open, her lips turning blue. He tried to shout for help, but his voice was too weak. He tried to reach for his phone, but his hands wouldn't obey. All he could do was sit there in his wheelchair, tears streaming down his face, watching his daughter die in front of him. By the time the household staff came running, it was too late. Charlotte was gone. The house erupted into chaos. Screaming, crying, confusion. Doctors were called, authorities were called, but nothing could bring Charlotte back. Chief Williams couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. When Olivia heard that Charlotte was dead, she wanted to lose her mind. Not because she loved her sister. Not because she mourned her. But because Charlotte wasn't supposed to be the one lying on that floor. It was supposed to be Chief Williams. The plan was perfect. The poison was meant for him. And somehow, stupidly, Charlotte had ruined everything. Olivia paced back and forth in her room, her hands shaking, her mind racing. Two sisters gone within a month. Sophia, then Charlotte, and her father was still alive, still breathing, still planning to give everything away to that maid's child. She grabbed her phone and called Kenneth, her voice barely a whisper. It went wrong. Charlotte drank it. Not him. Charlotte is dead. There was silence on the other end. Then Kenneth spoke, his voice low and urgent. You need to run. Get out of that house now. If your father finds out it was you. He won't find out, Olivia said quickly, though her voice trembled. He can't prove anything. Olivia, listen to me. Your father is smart. He'll dig. He'll ask questions. And if he finds that staff member, if she talks, then what do I do? Olivia hissed. Run. Leave everything behind. He's dying anyway. If I run now, I lose everything. Kenneth was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then stay but be smart. Act devastated. Cry at the funeral. Blame someone else. Make sure you're the last person anyone suspects. Olivia swallowed hard. Okay, I can do that. And Olivia, don't try anything again. Not yet. Let things cool down first. She hung up and sat on the edge of her bed, staring at nothing. 2 daughters dead, and she was responsible for one of them. The guilt should have crushed her. But all she felt was anger. Anger at Charlotte for being careless. Anger at her father for not dying when he was supposed to. Downstairs, Deborah was standing in the middle of the living room, staring at the spot where Charlotte had collapsed. Her face was blank, empty, like she was looking at something far away. People always said mothers had a special bond with their children, that losing a child was the worst pain a woman could ever feel. But Deborah felt nothing. Just numbness. And underneath that numbness, a cold, burning rage. She turned to one of the staff members and said, her voice flat and lifeless, "This is all because of her. That witch, Mia. She brought this curse into our family. First Sophia, now Charlotte. Who's next? Which one of my daughters will she take next?" The staff member said nothing, just kept her head down and backed away slowly. But Deborah wasn't done. She marched straight to Chief Williams' room, pushed the door open without knocking, and stood there glaring at him. "This is your fault," she said, her voice shaking with fury. "You brought that girl into this house. You made her pregnant. And now look what's happening. 2 of our daughters are dead. Dead. And for what? For some girl. For a child who will never be legitimate." Chief Williams looked at her with hollow eyes. He was too tired to fight. Too broken to defend himself. "Leave," he said quietly. "I won't leave," Deborah spat. "You need to hear this. You destroyed this family. You destroyed our daughters. And when you die, I hope you suffer for what you've done." She slammed the door on her way out. Chief Williams sat there in his wheelchair, staring at the closed door. His body was failing him. His family hated him. 2 of his daughters were dead. And now he was starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, his newborn son was cursed. Chief Williams wanted to end it. Just roll his wheelchair to the balcony and let gravity do the rest. But something stopped him, a voice in his head, or maybe it was something deeper. He picked up his phone and called his younger brother, Jonathan Williams, a man he trusted, a man who had always been honest with him, even when it hurt. "Jonathan," Chief Williams said, his voice barely holding together. "I need to talk to you." An hour later, Jonathan was sitting in his brother's room, listening to everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the escape, the deaths, all of it. When Chief Williams finished, Jonathan was quiet for a long time. Then he leaned forward and looked his brother in the eyes. "Don't blame yourself," Jonathan said firmly. "And don't blame Mia. Don't blame that child. What's happening in this house has nothing to do with them. This is your family, your wife, your daughters. They're the ones tearing this house apart, not some girl." "But 2 of my daughters are dead," Chief Williams whispered. "And you think that's because of Mia?" Jonathan interrupted. "Brother, wake up. Someone tried to poison you. That tea was meant for you. Charlotte drank it by accident. Which means someone in this house wants you dead. And I guarantee you it's not Mia. She's thousands of miles away. So the question isn't why are your daughters dying? The question is, who is trying to end you?" Chief Williams felt a chill run down his spine. He hadn't thought about it like that. But now that Jonathan said it out loud, it made perfect sense. "What do I do?" Chief Williams asked. "Find out who did it," Jonathan said simply. "Before they try again." The next day, Chief Williams called his assistant, a quiet man who had worked for him for 15 years and never asked unnecessary questions. Together, they sat in front of the computer screen, rewinding through days and days of footage from every camera in the house. The problem was the footage from the day Charlotte died was missing, completely erased, like it never existed. "Someone deleted it," the assistant said, frowning at the screen. "But who has access to this system?" Chief Williams rubbed his temples. "Everyone in this house knows where the security room is. Anyone could have gone in there." "Then let's check the footage of the security room itself," the assistant suggested. "If someone went in to delete the files, the camera in that room would have caught them." Chief Williams looked at him with a spark of hope. "Do it. Check everything." They scrolled through the footage, hour after hour, day after day. And then they found it. November 13th, 2:47 in the morning. Olivia Williams sneaking into the security room with a storage device in her hand. She looked nervous, kept glancing over her shoulder like she expected someone to catch her. She plugged the device into the computer, clicked around for a few minutes, then pulled it out and left. The next morning, Charlotte was dead. Chief Williams sat back in his wheelchair, his jaw tight, his hands trembling. Olivia. His first daughter. The one he had sent to the best schools, given the best life, trusted the most. She had tried to end him. And when her plan failed, she took her own sister instead. "Sir, what do you want to do?" the assistant asked carefully. Chief Williams closed his eyes for a moment. "Keep watching. I need more proof. I need to know for sure." But in his heart, he already knew. Meanwhile, Olivia was constructing a new plan. Kenneth had told her to wait, but she couldn't wait anymore. Her father was getting suspicious. She could feel it in the way he looked at her now, like he was studying her, like he was waiting for her to make a mistake. So she had to act fast. This time, she wouldn't use poison. Poison was too unpredictable, too easy to trace. No, this time she would make it look like an accident. Chief Williams had a medical appointment coming up. He went every 2 weeks for checkups, blood tests, medication adjustments. And every time, he was driven in his personal car, a black luxury vehicle with tinted windows and leather seats. Olivia knew the routine. The driver would pull the car out of the garage, help Chief Williams into the back seat, and drive him to the hospital. Simple. Predictable. And predictable meant vulnerable. One night, while everyone was asleep, Olivia crept into the garage with a small toolkit she had purchased. She opened the hood of the vehicle and located the brake lines. It took her almost an hour, but she managed to cut them just enough so that they would fail after a few minutes of driving. By the time the car reached the highway, the brakes would be useless. And when the driver tried to stop at a red light or avoid another vehicle, the car would just keep going, straight into traffic, straight into a crash. And this time, there would be no mistakes. No Charlotte drinking poisoned tea. No last-minute changes. Just a tragic accident. A sick old man passing in a car crash. Nobody would question it. Olivia wiped the sweat from her forehead, closed the hood, and slipped back into the house. Her hands were shaking, but her heart was calm. She had done it. And this time, nothing would go wrong. But what Olivia didn't know was that Chief Williams had installed new cameras. Hidden ones, cameras she didn't know about, cameras that captured everything. The next morning, Chief Williams reviewed the footage with his assistant. And there it was, clear as day. Olivia sneaking into the garage. Olivia opening the hood. Olivia cutting the brake lines. Chief Williams felt something break inside him. Not sadness, not anger, just emptiness. His own daughter, his own blood, trying to end him not once, but twice. He nodded slowly and said to his assistant, "I know what to do." That afternoon, Chief Williams called Olivia into his study. She came in smiling, trying to look innocent, trying to act like everything was normal. "Olivia, sit down," Chief Williams said, his voice calm. "I want to talk to you about something important." Olivia sat, her heart racing just a little. "What is it, Father?" "I've been thinking about my will," Chief Williams said, leaning back in his wheelchair. "And I realized something. As my first daughter, you deserve to know what's in it. You deserve to know what you'll inherit when I'm gone." Olivia's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Yes. But not here. I want to show you everything properly. So I'm going to take you to my lawyer's office today. Right now." Olivia hesitated. "Today?" "Yes. Why? Do you have somewhere else to be?" "No. No, I wasn't expecting this." "Well, life is unpredictable," Chief Williams said with a small smile. "Come. Let's go. The car is already waiting." Olivia's stomach twisted. The car. The vehicle she had sabotaged last night. But her father didn't know that. He couldn't know that. So she had to play along. She had to act normal. They walked out to the garage together. The driver was already standing by the car, the engine running. Chief Williams' assistant helped him into the back seat. Then Chief Williams looked at Olivia. "Get in," he said. Olivia froze. I'll follow in another car. I don't want to crowd you." "Nonsense. There's plenty of space. Get in." Olivia's heart was pounding so loud she thought everyone could hear it. She knew what would happen if she got in that car. The brakes were cut. Once they started driving and tried to stop, the car wouldn't respond. They would crash into something, into another vehicle, into a wall, and she would perish along with her father. She stood there, staring at the open car door, her mind racing. If she refused, He would know something was wrong. But if she got in, she would meet her end. Finally, with shaking hands, she climbed into the car and sat next to her father. The driver closed the door and got into the front seat. He started slowly pulling out of the garage. Olivia's hands were gripping the seat so tight her knuckles turned white. Her breath was shallow. Every meter the car moved forward felt like death creeping closer. The moment the driver needed to brake, for the gate, for another car, for anything, they would be done. The car wouldn't stop. It would just keep rolling forward until they crashed. Her mind was screaming at her to get out, to run, to do something. The car was now approaching the main gate. The security guard was opening it slowly. The driver would need to stop and wait for it to fully open. That was when the brakes would fail. That was when they would know. And then Olivia couldn't take it anymore. "Stop the car," she screamed, her voice breaking. "Stop it right now." The driver, confused, pressed the brake pedal. Nothing happened. The car kept rolling forward. He pressed harder, pumping the brakes. Still nothing. "The brakes!" the driver shouted. "The brakes aren't working." Panic filled the car. The assistant grabbed the steering wheel from the back, helping the driver swerve to avoid hitting the gate. The car rolled onto the grass and finally came to a stop when it hit a small hedge. Olivia threw the door open before the car even fully stopped and stumbled out, gasping for air, her whole body shaking. I'm not feeling well. I can't go. I'm sorry." And she ran back into the house, away from the car, away from her father. Chief Williams sat there in the back seat, watching her run. His face was calm, cold. He nodded slowly. He had gotten the confirmation he needed. She knew the brakes were cut because she was the one who cut them. That evening, Chief Williams called for a final family meeting. Deborah, Olivia, Emma, and Amelia all gathered in the living room, confused and nervous. This time, Jonathan Williams was there too, and 2 police officers standing by the door. Chief Williams rolled his wheelchair to the center of the room and looked at each of them one last time. "I'm done," he said simply. "Done with the lies. Done with the betrayal. Done with pretending this is still a family." He nodded to his assistant, who turned on a large television screen mounted on the wall. And then the footage played. First, the video of Olivia sneaking into the security room and deleting files. Then the video of her in the kitchen pouring something into a teacup. Then the video of her in the garage cutting the brake lines of his car. Olivia's face went pale. Deborah's mouth fell open. Emma and Amelia just stared in shock. "Olivia," Chief Williams said, his voice cold and final. "You tried to end me twice. And because of you, your sister Charlotte is gone." "Father, Olivia tried to speak. "Don't speak," Chief Williams interrupted. "I don't want to hear your excuses." He turned to the police officers. "Arrest her." The officers moved forward. Olivia screamed, tried to run, but they grabbed her arms and handcuffed her. She was crying now, begging, pleading. "Father, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Kenneth made me do it. Please." But Chief Williams didn't look at her. He just watched as they dragged her out of the house. Then he turned to Deborah. He pulled out his phone and showed her the tracking app. "I know you went overseas to find Mia. I know everything you've done. You're not my wife anymore. You're my enemy." Deborah didn't flinch. She just stared at him with cold, dead eyes. "You, Amelia, and Emma, get out of my house. Now. You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave. If you're still here after that, I'll call the authorities on you too." "You can't do this," Deborah shouted. "This is my house. I built this family." "No," Chief Williams said quietly. "You destroyed it. Now leave." For the first time in years, Deborah had nothing to say. She just stood there, shaking with rage, before finally turning and walking away. Amelia and Emma followed her, their faces pale and stunned. Within the hour, they were gone. The mansion was finally quiet. And then Chief Williams made one last call. Bring her home. 2 days later, a car pulled up to the mansion. The door opened, and Mia stepped out, holding baby Samuel in her arms. She stood there for a moment, staring at the huge house that had almost destroyed her. The house where she had been hunted, threatened, plotted against, the house she never thought she would see again. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were trembling. But then the front door opened, and Chief Williams rolled out in his wheelchair. And when their eyes met, all the fear melted away. Mia walked slowly toward him, tears already streaming down her face. She couldn't speak, couldn't find the words. All she could do was hold Samuel out to him. Chief Williams reached for his son with shaking hands. When he held the baby for the first time, really held him, not through pictures or messages or updates from a guard, but in his own arms, something inside him broke open. Tears poured down his face. He didn't try to stop them. Didn't try to hide them. Samuel, he whispered, his voice cracking. My son. My Samuel. The baby looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. He didn't know about the war that had been fought to keep him alive. Didn't know about the sisters who had passed, the mother who hunted him, the lies and betrayal and poison. He was just a baby. Pure, innocent, perfect. Chief Williams kissed his forehead and held him close to his chest. You're safe now, he whispered. I promise you're safe. Mia stood there watching them, her hand covering her mouth, trying not to sob out loud. After everything they had been through, after all the running and hiding and fear, it was finally over. They were finally together. Finally home. The mansion, which had felt like a tomb for so long, suddenly felt different. Lighter. Quieter, in a peaceful way, not in a tense way. The household staff who remained were smiling. The air didn't feel heavy anymore. For the first time in a very long time, the Williams mansion felt like a home again. Chief Williams looked up at Mia and said, Welcome home. And Mia, holding back tears, nodded. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything. The following weeks were peaceful in a way Mia had never experienced in that house. Chief Williams spent every waking moment with Samuel, watching him sleep, holding him, talking to him even though the baby couldn't understand the words yet. The staff members treated Mia with respect now. No more whispers behind her back. No more hostile glances. They had seen what Chief Williams was willing to do to protect her, and they understood that she wasn't just a maid anymore. She was the mother of his heir. But outside those gates, in different parts of the city, 3 women sat in anger. Deborah, Emma, and Amelia, banished, humiliated, stripped of their power. Deborah had rented a modest apartment, nothing like the mansion she was used to. Every day, she stared at the walls, plotting, planning, thinking about how to get back what was rightfully hers. Emma continued her social media presence, still milking the family drama for followers and sponsorships. But now her narrative had shifted. She was the victim of her father's cruelty, the daughter thrown out for standing up for what was right. Her followers ate it up. Amelia, on the other hand, was quiet. She spent most of her time with Deborah, listening to her mother's plans, nodding along, but inside, she was starting to question everything. 2 of her sisters were gone. 1 was in prison. And here she was, living in a small apartment, eating cheap food, wearing last season's clothes. Was this really worth it? And in a prison cell not far away, Olivia sat alone, her hands still shaking from everything she had done. She had been denied bail. Kenneth had stopped answering her calls. Her lawyers were expensive and incompetent. And every night, she lay on that hard prison bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how her life had fallen apart so quickly. She had tried to secure her future, and instead, she had destroyed everything. Back at the mansion, Chief Williams knew this peace wouldn't last. He could feel it in his bones. Deborah was not the type of woman to give up and disappear quietly. She would regroup. She would plan. She would wait for the right moment. And when that moment came, she would strike. So Chief Williams made preparations. He updated his will, making sure that Samuel was legally recognized as his son and primary heir. He hired additional security for the mansion. He installed more cameras, more alarms, more safeguards. He also made sure that Mia had legal protection. He hired lawyers to draw up documents that would ensure her safety and Samuel's inheritance, no matter what happened to him. Because Chief Williams knew his time was running out. The illness that had been slowly consuming him for years was getting worse. The doctors had given him 6 months, maybe a year if he was lucky. He didn't fear death anymore. He had made his peace with it. But he feared what would happen to Mia and Samuel after he was gone. One evening, as he sat in his study with Jonathan, they discussed the future. "You need to make sure they're protected," Jonathan said. "Even after you're gone. Deborah won't stop. You know that." "I know," Chief Williams said quietly. "That's why I'm putting everything in place now. Legal protections, financial security, trusted people who will look after them." "And what about Mia's family?" Jonathan asked. "Her mother was the one who gave Deborah the information. Have you thought about that?" Chief Williams nodded. "I have. Mia doesn't know yet. I haven't told her. But when the time is right, she'll need to know the truth." Jonathan leaned back in his chair. "This isn't over, brother. You know that, right? Even with all these protections, Deborah will find a way to cause trouble." "I know," Chief Williams said. "But at least I'll die knowing I did everything I could." The two brothers sat in silence for a moment, both understanding the weight of what lay ahead. Outside the study window, the sun was setting over the city, casting long shadows across the mansion grounds. And somewhere in that city, Deborah was making a phone call. The call Deborah made was to a man she had used before, a man who specialized in making problems disappear. Not through violence necessarily, but through manipulation, blackmail, and legal maneuvering. "I need you to find something," Deborah said coldly. "Anything that can be used against that girl. Any past crime, any unpaid debt, any illegal document. I don't care what it is. Just find it." "And if there's nothing to find?" the man asked. "Then create it," Deborah said simply. "I don't care how. I just need her out of that house and away from my husband's money." The man agreed, and Deborah hung up with a satisfied smile. Meanwhile, Mia was starting to feel like she could finally breathe. Samuel was growing beautifully. Chief Williams was spending every possible moment with his son. The household staff had become friendly, even protective of her. For the first time since she had entered that mansion as a maid, Mia felt like she belonged. But one afternoon, as she was feeding Samuel in the nursery, Chief Williams called her into his study. "Mia, sit down," he said gently. "There's something I need to tell you." Mia's heart began to race. Had something happened? Was Deborah coming back? "It's about your mother," Chief Williams continued. "The day you called her from the hospital, the day you told her where you were, she contacted Deborah. She told her the name of the hospital." Mia felt like she had been punched in the stomach. "What?" "Deborah and Amelia had visited your family weeks before that," Chief Williams explained. "They filled your mother's head with lies, told her you had stolen from us, that you were wanted by authorities. They scared her. And when you called, she thought she was helping you by telling them where you were." Tears began streaming down Mia's face. "My own mother. She didn't know," Chief Williams said softly. "She thought she was doing the right thing. She was manipulated." Mia buried her face in her hands and cried. All this time, she had wondered how Deborah had found her. And now she knew. It was her own mother, the woman she had trusted most in the world, who had betrayed her, even if unintentionally. "What do I do?" Mia asked through her tears. "That's up to you," Chief Williams said. "But you need to know the truth. And you need to decide whether you can forgive her." Over the following days, Mia wrestled with the revelation. Part of her was angry, hurt, betrayed. But another part of her understood. Her mother had been scared, manipulated by powerful people who knew exactly which buttons to push. Finally, Mia made a decision. She called her mother. The conversation was difficult, painful. Her mother cried, apologized repeatedly, explained how frightened she had been. And slowly, Mia began to forgive her. "But you can never tell anyone where I am again," Mia said firmly. "Do you understand? No matter who asks, no matter what they threaten, you tell them nothing." "I promise," her mother sobbed. "I promise, my daughter. I'm so sorry." When Mia hung up, she felt lighter. Not completely healed, but lighter. Back in her apartment, Deborah was growing impatient. The investigator she had hired had found nothing. No criminal record, no debts, no scandals. Mia's past was frustratingly clean. "Then we go another route," Deborah told Amelia. "We challenge the will. We claim that Chief Williams wasn't of sound mind when he made those changes. We bring in doctors, psychiatrists, anyone who will testify that he was manipulated." "Will that work?" Amelia asked uncertainly. "It has to," Deborah said, "because I am not letting some maid's child inherit everything I helped build." But before Deborah could make her next move, Chief Williams made his. He called a press conference. Every major news outlet in the city showed up. Cameras, reporters, journalists, all gathered outside the mansion gates. Chief Williams, looking frail but determined in his wheelchair, with Mia standing beside him holding Samuel, made an announcement that shocked everyone. "I am officially recognizing Samuel Williams Jr. as my legitimate son and primary heir," he said clearly. "All legal documents have been filed and notarized. My will has been updated and is legally binding. And I am publicly stating that any attempts to challenge this will be met with the full force of my legal team." He paused, looking directly into the cameras. "I am also stating publicly that my wife, Deborah Williams, along with my daughters Amelia and Emma, have been permanently removed from my household due to their attempts to harm both myself and my son. They have no legal claim to my estate." The reporters erupted with questions, but Chief Williams simply nodded to his assistant, who wheeled him back into the house. The announcement went viral within hours. The battle is over. Or is it? Thank you for watching this incredible journey. Subscribe for more stories like this. Comment, "Justice served" or "More drama ahead." Share with everyone who loves epic family sagas. What story should we tell next?